Hey guys, Chris from Stoked Travel here. Welcome back to the channel. As you can see today, I'm joined by the legend that is Rob Machado. Rob is in Byron Bay for the week and he's doing some shaping here at the Space at Dead Kooks. And I'm really frothing because I'm going to jump in the shaping bay with him and he's going to make me a fresh 2 fish. And the guys from Madhouse Glassing are going to be glassing that up with some beautiful resin tints. So we're going to be making a video on that. But also we're going to be chatting about his latest board, the Machado Cado. We're going to be chatting about how that compares to the likes of the 2 Fish, the Seaside, and of course the Mashup. And if you've got a couple of those boards in your quiver already, how that sits in your quiver alongside those. So yeah, welcome to Rob. Let's get on with it. Phew.
Howdy, this is it. Okay, here's the story. I call it the Cado. It was supposed to be called the Cado. Unbeknownst to me, they changed the name and it showed up at my house and it had Machado Cado, which is too many syllables for a board name. I protested, but I lost. So that's the story behind it. I'm sticking to it. But the Machado Cado, it could have been called the Machado Cado. So many things. Okay, I'm rambling. It's the Cado. It is in that world, that fun little world between the fish. I wanted to make a board. So originally the Cado was a twin fin. Okay, I took kind of the idea of a 2 fish and I was like, all right, I don't want a big swallowtail. I'm gonna make this big squash tail. And I wrote it with keels and I was like, wow, this thing's amazing, super cool. It's got that wide nose, paddles really good, gets up deep concave into a double, and everything was great. And they were like, well, why don't we try it as a thruster? And I was like, oh, great idea. So I made it a stock standard thruster. Wasn't a big fan. I moved I moved the side fins back a little bit, and then I wrote it with a 2+1, and then it kind of like, ding, the light bulb went off, and it was just still had that speed out of the gates, but when you add that little trailer of that back fin, it adds that stability, and this thing kind of really can turn on a tighter arc than the 2 Fish and really put the board in tighter positions. And I thought it was going to be a small wave board, but I ended up riding it in small waves, and I've pushed it and ridden it in bigger waves, and it's really kind of surprised me. So I think it falls right in between the 2 Fish and the Mashup, and the Seaside, really. I mean, Seaside's a quad, so it's like, it's a thruster, you know? Like, it's probably closest DNA is to the Mashup, really. Because I ride the Mashup with a 2+1, that's the only reason I say that, but yeah, it's just a kind of a Mashup I ride as a 5.4, this I ride as a 5.2, so it's shorter, stubbier, it's got a little more width, a little more volume. So it's like taking the Mashup and squashing it a little bit, right? Is this all making sense? I don't know if it is, but I'm just rambling. Super fun, man. Like, I think this is a great board for somebody who is coming down off of a bigger board and wants to get on something, you know, it's got the width and the stability. They can just get you going and get you up to speed quick. And I don't know, it's got a lot of fun elements. I just like short little stubby boards. They're a good time. The Mashup. Mr. Dan Man and myself came together, made a fun little board. This is, you know what? If I'm gonna surf a heat, like a board riders event, this is kind of my go-to. This is my high performance. And depending on how big the waves are, I'll run it with a 2+1, or I'll run it with a standard thruster set. And it's as if I wanna try and be Kelly Slater. No, I'm just kidding. No, but if I want to try and you know, really kind of put my board in places where I dream about putting them, you know, like back in the 90s, like really just tighter arcs in the pocket, you know, having the ability to kind of get the fins free. This is the board I kind of go to, you know, and I think this evolves into the Cado in the sense that it's like, I mean, the tail is definitely different, but you know, it'd be like taking the nose and just kind of crunching it down. You know, I ride my Cado 2 inches shorter than I ride my Mashup. I think it's a little wider. It might be fairly close, but you've got a lot more tail area in the Cado. So it's, compared to this board, it's a little bit more limited in how tight you can put the board into spots. But it has surprised me, like for being so wide in the tail, like it's really, I've found myself kind of scratching my head after waves going like, okay, I didn't expect that to happen. Like I've been kind of impressed. So I like when boards surprise you, you know, you're like, I'm gonna do this, but I don't know if it's gonna work. And then when it works, you're like, wow, thanks. So both really fun boards. I mean, just different feelings, like for different waves and different day. There's a surfboard for every day, right? If you got these in your car and you know, you pull up and it's, I don't know, if it's 4 to 6 foot and like dumpy and hollow, like I'm gonna ride my Mashup. If it's you know, 2 to 3 foot and it's a little softer, I'm gonna go glide around on a Cado. This is a Cado. How does it compare to the Seaside? I think the Seaside DNA has evolved from the Go Fish, from my fish. So it has that fishy DNA to it, whereas the Cado kind of evolves more from a high performance background. And that being, when you look at the rocker, you know, this foils out really thin and nice. It's got a little flip in the nose. You look at the fish and the Seaside, it's got that little beak, kind of with some thickness up here, a little thicker in the, and up in the front rail, paddles well. So those kind of dynamics are interesting. And then obviously with the swallowtail, you know, the big swallow on the Go Fish or the Too Fish, and you know, the smaller swallow, that it's very much that fishy DNA, right? Whereas the Cado, I think, like I said, evolves from that like thruster DNA, and it's more of a board that has those capabilities to surf like a thruster, and it's a little more user friendly. Some people, you know, some people gravitate towards fishes, and sometimes they feel weird to people. Some people are just used to that thruster feeling, and this is a great kind of hybrid where it takes a little bit of that DNA of the fish, and with the width and that nose outline. But when you look at the rocker, it's like I said, it's a little more of a high performance rocker, but with the width and that kind of that shorter, wider kind of template, it just enables, it gives you that nice squirt taking off out of the pocket, firing down the line, lots of speed, and then you have the freedom. You know, when I run it as a 2+1, and it gives you a lot of freedom to like turning wise and tighter little arcs.
Thanks very much for joining us today, Rob. See you next week, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. You.